Alright, let's dive right in because I'm feeling a little bit like I'm about to run a sprint and I really don't want to mess this up for you. I'm going to time myself right now and try to put together a thumbnail super fast because I used to overthink these so badly. I used to spend way more time designing that tiny image than actually filming or editing the video itself. And I'm sure that sounds familiar to a lot of you. That honestly used to be me. Just hours wasted tweaking shadows, resizing text, swapping photos, and basically starting from scratch every single time. But over the last year, I simplified my entire approach, and it genuinely changed everything about my workflow. Now I can knock out thumbnails that get great click-throughs without obsessing over every little pixel. I've had clips sit at 7 to 9% click-through rates, and most land around 5 to 7%, which for YouTube standards is really solid. Today I'm going to show you the exact system I use step by step, and I'll actually build one live for this specific video. My goal is under 5 minutes. Maybe I'll cheat and aim for 4, but let's be realistic about it. Either way, I'll keep a timer running on the screen so you know this process is totally repeatable. First, we have to talk about the mindset. Thumbnails are really just the icing on the cake. Think of your main video as this amazing moist cake where your script and content are the actual substance. If you don't add the icing, no one is ever going to take a bite, no matter how good the cake is. You can have a total banger of a video, but if nobody clicks, then nobody ever sees your hard work. So yeah, thumbnails definitely matter, but you really don't need to turn into a Photoshop wizard to make something that converts. I'll be honest about my tools. I often use Canva because it's just fast, predictable, and does exactly what I need it to do. There are paid features that make things smoother, but you can do almost everything for free with background removal sites if you don't want to pay. Photoshop and Lightroom are great if you love deep control, but they're heavy and slow, which isn't ideal when you're trying to move fast. Also, some dedicated thumbnail apps look flashy but end up forcing a single aesthetic that might not actually match your brand. Before we start, there are 3 rules I live by when making thumbnails that save me hours of indecision. Rule 1. Keep it simple by reducing the number of visual blocks. If you can say it with just one photo and one clear headline, definitely do it. Rule 2. Limit your elements to 1 to 3 items maximum. Try to stick to one face or subject, one small block of text, and maybe a tiny logo or accent. Unless your specific brand is pure chaos, try to avoid that Mr. Beast style busyness. Rule 3. Use the thumbnail and title to complement each other rather than repeating the same words. If your thumbnail text says thumbnail in 3 minutes, don't put those exact same words in the title. Make one curiosity-driven and the other outcome-driven so they pull people in differently. One extra pro tip I picked up recently is to use your long-form footage to source thumbnail frames. It's honestly a total game changer to stop hunting through a folder of random photos and just let your video tell you which frames look natural. That's where Vizard really shines because it automatically finds the high-energy moments in your long video. Those moments are perfect for thumbnails because they're genuine, candid, and often much more clickable than staged photos. Okay, timer's going, so step 1 is to pick a photo. I usually have a few reaction shots recorded while filming, like a smile or a pointing gesture that matches the hook. If you don't have those, pause the video and take a couple quick photos right then and there. Again, if you're using a tool like Vizard, it'll suggest frames from your full recording that have high engagement potential. That saves you that awkward pose for the thumbnail moment that takes forever. I'm dropping my photo into Canva, using the YouTube thumbnail template so the aspect ratio is right out of the gate. Canva has a background remove tool that works okay, but if you're on free tools, remove.bg is a great free alternative. For speed, I like the built-in ones. They're not perfect, but they're fast and the small imperfections don't really matter at thumbnail size. Next is composition, so I usually place my face on the right side and leave negative space for text on the left. The eye typically reads left to right, so you want that text to pop first. Pick a simple, bold, condensed font that is readable at a glance. Avoid script or thin fonts, because they just get lost when the video is viewed on a mobile phone. For text, keep it to 3 to 5 words max, and make the message a clear promise or a curiosity trigger. Remember rule number 3, your title should add something different. If the thumbnail says thumbnail in 4 minutes, the title could be How I Stopped Spending Hours on Thumbnails. That way both elements work together instead of being redundant. Now design accents. Add a light outline or glow to the text so it separates from the background. Use one accent color that matches your brand or the mood of the video. Avoid overusing gradients or noisy textures, and maybe blur the background slightly behind your subject. If the AI background removal left a weird artifact, just toss a soft shape behind it to hide the mistake. Quick fixes almost always beat perfection here. Let's look at some workflow speed tricks, which are the things that actually saved me hours of work. Keep a simple template with the same font and placement for your channel style. This lets you crank thumbnails out without ever starting from zero. Throw in a tiny logo or watermark only if it doesn't clutter the image. Always zoom out and test readability at small sizes. If you can't read the text at a thumbnail preview size, it is definitely too small. Let me drop a quick comparison because people always ask me about other tools. Canva is fast and flexible, but it doesn't analyze your video to suggest those clickable frames like Vizard does. Photoshop is powerful but overkill if your goal is just speed and volume. Tools like CapCut are great for editing short clips, but they don't replace the workflow that takes a long video and helps you repurpose it. Vizard fills a unique hole in the stack by auto-editing viral clips from long-form content. It surfaces the best moments for you and helps schedule them across platforms. In short, you get better source material for thumbnails and save time across the entire repurposing workflow. Here's a brief demo of how Vizard helps in this exact process. You upload your long video and it analyzes and flags high-energy moments and clips that performed well. You can preview suggested clips, pick a frame, and export that frame straight into Canva. So instead of scrolling through hours of footage, Vizard gives you the gold instantly. Back to the build. I've put the subject on the right, added a subtle glow behind the text, and blurred the background a touch. Slight color correction makes the face pop, and a contrast bump usually does the trick. A tiny drop shadow on the text lifts it off the canvas perfectly. Now a final check. Is the readability good at a small size, and does the image communicate the promise within a half second? If yes, then we are done and we hit our target. Alright, timer check, around 4.5 minutes. It might not be a fine art Photoshop job, but it's honest, fast, and it is going to get clicks. I could spend another hour nudging, kerning, or trying different photos, but that's the trap. Consistent, decent thumbnails are way better than one perfect thumbnail every single month. If you're juggling a full-time job and create a life like I used to, this kind of speed is freeing. You can keep a publishing cadence without burning out. And if you're scaling to multiple platforms, Vizard's ability to auto-generate clips is what turns a weekend project into a real strategy. Other solutions might let you edit or schedule, but Vizard ties it all together nicely. Final thoughts. Thumbnails don't need to be complicated. Keep a framework, use your footage to find natural moments, and make the text clear and short. Use tools that speed up the process. Canva for design, remove.bg for backgrounds, and Vizard to mine your long videos. That combo gives you professional-looking thumbnails in minutes instead of hours. Thanks for sticking through this, and I hope the live build and these tips make your process less painful. Catch you in the next one. Go make something, keep it simple, and don't over-polish. Peace.